Thanks so much for tuning in. We are live here at the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center with our second guest, Miss Jaimie Puckett. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah, so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, if you know a thing or two about wine, you might call yourself an expert. Well, Jaimie here is actually a sommelier, so that means you can pretty much know just about everything there is to know about wine. You are truly a wine expert.
Thank you. I wouldn't go that far. I think one of the most exciting things about working in the wine industry is that you'll never know it all. There's always more to learn.
That's very true.
So it's a lot of
Good way to
fun.
put that. Yeah, definitely. So talk to me a little bit about what you do for work right now. So you're working at Eataly in Boston,
Mm-hmm.
and for those of us who don't really know about Eataly or haven't made the trip up to Boston yet to visit them, talk to me a little bit about what they are working with and what you do there.
Yeah, so for those of you that have not been, you should definitely come and check it out. It is a massive Italian marketplace. So all things food, wine, meat, cheese.
Wow.
We have a lot of events as well. So yes, we have 4 different restaurants. My role there is mostly in restaurants. So training our staff, make sure they're familiar with all of our wine lists and cocktail programs, things like that. And talking with our guests, making suggestions for some of our really unique wines that we have that are either exclusive to Eataly or just Italy in general. So
Wow.
it's a lot of fun.
So you keep yourself very busy at Eataly.
For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
Awesome. So talk to me about being a sommelier. I think that it is just such an interesting thing. It's a very, very esteemed title to be able to achieve. And you're a young woman, so for you to achieve this at such a young age is extremely impressive. Talk to me about how you got started with that and what led you to become a wine expert.
So my best friend, her dad actually has a pretty in-depth wine cellar.
Wow.
And so when we were younger, we were always drinking wine from his wine cellar, making sangria with like bottles of wine
Yes.
older than we were. And then we really started to, our palate started to develop a little bit more and we were like, wow, this actually tastes really good.
Love
And
this, yeah.
yeah. And I think once I started to enjoy like how it tasted, it was more like, wow, this is kind of fascinating, the concept of like a wine cellar. Like someone has just put wine away in this place and not touched it for 20, 30 years and it's gotten exponentially better. Like
Right.
that's pretty cool.
Yes.
And so every time that my friend's dad would open a bottle, he had all these stories about the places that he went, where he brought it back from.
Every wine is special, really,
Exactly.
where it's coming from and the roots of it. It's really interesting, the backstory
Yeah.
of every wine.
So it kind of bit me, and then from there it was like kind of a downhill spiral from
Yeah.
there. Like
Or maybe an
I want to
upward.
know it all. Yeah, for sure. So
Yes.
yes, and then I studied at Johnson & Wales. I was in an advertising program, and I had a lot of culinary student friends that were minoring in sommelier. So I hopped on that and minored in sommelier, and then I ended up getting my first certification through the Court of Master Sommeliers right after I graduated. And then I passed the second exam, which is you earn the title of certified sommelier
Wow.
shortly after as well. So
That is incredible.
thank you.
So talk to me about the exams that you have to go through to be a certified sommelier. It's not just drinking wine and saying what kind of wine it is. So much more goes into it.
Yeah, so I'm certified through the Court of Master Sommeliers. It's one of the most highly accredited organizations for certifications for sommeliers internationally. And so the certified sommelier exam is a 3-part exam. So a blind tasting, a theory exam, so that's your written exam, and then also a service exam. So you're performing wine service. You can't miss a beat.
Yeah.
To a table with at least one master sommelier.
Wow. So they're looking for every detail.
Exactly. Yes.
Now you have to be able to smell the wine and really pick up on all the notes.
Yeah, so in the blind tasting, you have 4 wines, 2 whites, 2 reds. I had 30 minutes to identify what the grape varietal was, what region it was from, so what type of climate, and then to kind of narrow down what is what style is it typical for and which region.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, what kind of wine did you bring today?
Yeah, so I know I talked about the interesting wines that we have at Eataly, and
Yes.
so at Eataly we only have Italian wines, which is not limiting at all. There's so many varietals that are what we call indigenous or native to just Italy and are only grow in Italy. So I today have a wonderful blend of Frappato Nero d'Avola from Sicily. This is a winery I actually visited a couple months ago.
Really?
And I think it's one of the most one of the most fascinating regions in all of Italy, in that the history there, it just doesn't compare to some of the other regions. So Sicily is one of the regions that the Greeks first colonized when they came to Italy back in 735 BC. So when they arrived, they actually brought with them this tending hand and taught the native Sicilian people how to cultivate the vines that were already growing there, because at the time they really didn't know much about how to make a quality wine. They were able to make a beverage that they could consume and have a good time, but the sort of quality aspect wasn't there. So they were welcomed by the Greeks, and it was a very natural style of winemaking that was kind of happening during that time. So this is a producer. It's called Cos, C-O-S. It's the first initial of 3 friends that came together.
Very nice.
Yeah, and so Cereswolo di Vittoria Classico is the name of the wine, also the appellation that it comes from. So very, very southern Sicily, very close to like the tip of Africa. And so actually where this is, the vineyards are, the first few layers of, first few inches of soil are actually sand that's blown from the Sahara Desert.
Oh,
Isn't that
wow.
crazy?
That is
From
incredible.
Africa.
Let's try.
So cheers, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Wow, that is so beautiful, nice and light.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Now,
but it really
what
has
kind of notes
that,
do you pick up on when you taste something like this?
I think it's very earthy, and I think it really speaks to the terroir, which is what we, as sommeliers, you're kind of looking for something that's going to tell the story of that place. Which wine, when made well, in my opinion, you're really going to taste that soil. You're going to taste that place.
Wow. So you're really getting a taste of another part of the world.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's just fascinating that well-made wine, someone has really bottled their little corner of the world and
sharing it with us.
Here we are.
Yes. That is just
Awesome.
so amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing
Of
all of your
course.
expertise about wine and
Thank
all of
you.
the expansive world of wines that there is to learn about.
Awesome.
Yes,
Okay.
thanks so much, Jaimie. We
right.
really appreciate it. We're going to taste a little bit more of this.
Okay.
And don't go anywhere because we have